All right, everybody, here I go again. This is actually the fourth time I've made this recording because I haven't been able to get my audio to work. So it's a wonder what new batteries will do for you. So if I seem like I'm going fast, it's only because I've already done this 4 times today. Been at it since 8:30, and it's 10:30 right now. So the last time that we were in class, we talked a little bit about the cells and the cell organelles, and how those cell organelles are just like the organs in your body and allow the cell to go through all of the processes that it needs to be able to do in order to function as a life unit. So today what we're going to be talking about is Chapter 4 and how energy flows from the sun and through all life on Earth. So this is an interesting picture because I thought it looked like an ear of corn being put into a car, but it's not that. There is a difference between a biofuel and a fossil fuel. There are biofuels like ethanol, which is produced from corn. So it is made from a living plant. Fossil fuels are going to be any of the carbon-based, non-renewable sources of energy like coal and natural gas and oil. And so all of these things are chemically similar, but they have different places where they're harvested from. We burn gasoline, and when we do that, the carbon and the hydrogen bonds, the atoms separate, releasing a lot of carbon dioxide, water, and releasing a lot of energy. And so your car burns the fossil fuels from the gasoline and gets the energy. But there actually are conversion kits that can turn your car into something that's capable of running on the oil from fast food restaurants. So it's kind of an interesting conversion, and it makes your car smell like a giant French fry. But the point of the story is that we need to have all different types of fuels in order to get the energy that we need. Biofuels and fossil fuels are both composed of chains of carbon and hydrogen atoms, and the place that the energy is stored is in the bonds between the carbon and the hydrogen. Biofuels are any type of fuel that's coming from fats and coming from oil that are found in animals and releases large amounts of energy. The way that fuels provide that energy is by harvesting the energy from breaking chemical bonds and using it to fuel the activities of all living organisms. So all living organisms need to have some kind of fuel. All right, resuming where we left off. So the fuel is provided by the breaking of these chemical bonds. And all energy that is needed for all of the life on Earth is taken originally from the sun and then converted into forms of energy that living organisms are able to use. And so there's 2 processes of energy conversions for all living things in order to get the energy that they need. So the first primary source of energy conversion is from photosynthesis, so where plants capture that energy from the sun and store it in the chemical bonds in the sugars that build up plants and the other food molecules that they make. So only plants go through photosynthesis, and then all living organisms go through cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is this process where living organisms then break those bonds in order to release the energy in order to fuel their lives. So photosynthesis is the first and most primary step, and then cellular respiration happens in both plants and in animals, because only plants can harvest the energy from the sun, but animals eat the plants and then break the sugars apart and break the bonds in order to get their energy during cellular respiration. So here you can see a neat little diagram of how this works. We've got the sun which is being harvested by the plants. The energy from the sun is harvested by the plants, and they go through photosynthesis and build up these simple sugars. And then the animals are going to eat the plants and go through cellular respiration, where they break those chemical bonds and use the energy as fuel. So sun is transferring energy to plants, plants is transferring energy to animals, and animals are releasing that energy in the form of heat or in the form of work. So what exactly is energy? Energy is this capacity to do work. So just like I'm sitting here in my office right now waving my arms all around, I have the ability to do work which is moving matter against an opposing force. So we are constantly moving against the forces of gravity. We're slicing through the air, and that has air resistance. And every living organism is going to be doing some kind of work from us. We are thinking, so our brain is using energy. If we're moving around, that's using energy. Even sleeping requires some amount of energy in order for you to use that energy. Reproduction, your body's constantly making sperm and eggs, and so energy is simply the capacity to do work. Kinetic energy is the energy of moving objects. So a person that's bicycling, they have a large amount of kinetic energy because they're doing a large amount of work. They're working against the friction of the road, against the forces of gravity, against the forces of air resistance, and when they're releasing this energy, they release it in the form of heat energy and the work that they do. Birds are constantly working against gravity, against air friction, and all of that good stuff. So they have a high amount of kinetic energy. When a forest burns on fire, the fire releases not only heat energy, but light energy. And so anything that is moving, anything that is doing work, we have releasing kinetic energy. The other type of energy that we have is potential energy, so a capacity to do work that results from the location or position of an object. So if I have a book on the edge of my desk and I start to push that book towards the edge of the desk, it has the potential to fall to the ground, but it doesn't move until it is absorbed, until it's grabbed by the force of gravity when it goes over the edge. And so it's got potential energy until it's moving, and then it has kinetic energy. So your food, every little bit of food that you eat is going to release potential energy. Chemical energy is this form of energy that comes from food. So an apple has lots of glucose inside of it, and the glucose is these long chains of C's and H's and O's, and as they have their bonds being broken apart, they have their chemical energy being released as those bonds break. So food is vital for you being able to have enough energy to do the work that your body wants to be able to do. As far as energy conversions go, only about 1% of the energy released by plants, released by the sun, is actually captured by the plants that are here on Earth. Most of that energy is going to be absorbed by the rocks that make up the Earth or the oceans, and it's going to be absorbed as heat energy. So light energy from the sun, part of that, less than 1%, is turned into chemical energy stored in plants, and then energy is often transformed into heat on the ground and the earth and in the